I am going to be doing a glaze on Ariel where I bring her back a little bit more to her natural color. She had a lot of fun this summer and we went with a bright Bali, but I'm going to glaze her back to a nice brunette, and we are going to be going over some basic techniques in hello my fellow stylists, enthusiasts, and friends. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you for stopping by. I'm Maureen Moody and I'm the Curious Stylist, and if you're curious and nerding out on hair color is fun for you, you may want to stick around. And to all my returning subscribers, you all know we're color geeks here. A few years ago, I had a girlfriend who asked me a question about a balayage that she was doing. And I told her how I do my balayage and why I choose what I choose. And I assumed because she had seen me do my balayage a few times that she understood the method and what I was talking about. And it ended up not working out really well for her because she didn't understand the method behind my formulation. And so it really taught me that time that even though you give somebody the correct formula, if they don't have the method right, that's as equally important to your formulation. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down methods and why I do what I do when I am glazing. So my tip number one is I definitely use a conditioner in my service when I am glazing. Some people believe that by using conditioner on the hair, it's going to prevent the toner or the glaze from attaching to the hair quite as strong. And I absolutely disagree with this. I think that conditioner is super important, not only for the experience for the guest, but it's also important for their hair. We're doing multiple services with lightener on it, and lightener's no joke. I do teasy lights. I do a lot of work with people. The idea of having to comb all that stuff out with no conditioner is not really palatable to me. Not only that, but the science behind it doesn't hold up. When you look at actually what's scientifically happening, that thought process doesn't really work. In a later video, I can break that down more in depth, but for now, just know my tip number one is definitely condition the hair. The toner and the glaze are going to behave just fine. So don't worry about it and use the conditioner. My tip number two is that I start in the back. So once the hair is wet, I'm going to start applying my toner or my glaze in the back of the head and work forward. The idea of applying the back first is it's going to give the most depth to the back part of the hair. That's really important, having a method and not just slapping glaze on. Tip number three. Whenever I glaze somebody, 95% of the time I am using two different formulas. That is a tip. You want to use two different formulas. One that is at least one shade to two shades darker and then lighter on the ends. With this girl, I'm going to be using 3 shades because she is a brunette and I want a nice soft transition. So I'm going to start with her top mohawk area and I want to shadow it out. Number 4 is you're going to smudge at different lengths to preserve the depth in the back and make it brighter in the front. And so my next tip would be when you are working in the back, because I love a shadow root. I'm just a huge fan of shadow rooting. I like using 2 formulas. Yes. And I am going to smudge it down a little bit. Yes, but I am not going super dark. Tip number 5 is use the back of the comb to blur any hard lines of your smudge. Now, here's a tip. When you want to drag it down, when you want to drag the hair. If you are finding value in this content, please smash the like button and subscribe. I make weekly videos. When you want to drag the root down, you're going to just take the back of the comb and pull. And that's going to shear it out a little bit more. Okay? But let's say as I'm moving, so I'm going to take this one and I want to drag it down, so I'm just going to pull the comb down so it gives a nice soft transition. Okay? So that's what we're doing here. So I am going to go.
Number 6 is to use a comb technique so that you don't drag the smudge down too far in the front. I'm going to be explaining that to you in the video.
So another tip of mine is when you are applying the hair color around the face and you don't want to drag it down too much. You don't want to drag it down too much, but you got to blend it. You still have to blend it. You can't not blend it. So you've got to just take your comb and kind of comb it and pick it up. And that will blend it, but it'll stop it from being pulled far down. So you're just going to take your comb and so I'm blending it down a little bit, but not too much, okay?
Tip number 7 is process the root anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes.
One of my tips is I like to process the hair with the color on it for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're gonna go back and do the entire bottom.
So tip number 8 is I apply my ends for the last 10 to 15 minutes. And as you can see, I'm just working it nicely through, and I'm taking my comb and I'm making sure that the root smudge and the ends is married nicely together. And it just takes a couple of those combs and it'll really help to blend it real nicely. Tip number 9 is I like to leave the front pieces out for the last 5 to 7 minutes. So as you can see, I'm getting those nice and wet so that they're not too dry because I don't want the toner to grab too much. And I am applying the glaze on as we speak. And I'm going to leave that on for the last 5 to 7 minutes. So tip number 10 is my favorite of all of them. After you've applied that front piece, you're going to apply that darker shade right there in the very front. You can see what I'm doing there, and I'm just kind of picking that comb up and pulling it out real quick so I don't drag it down too far, but I'm layering the darker color right on the top right there, and that helps to give that soft transition without making it too dull. This is one of my favorite tricks that I picked up along the way, and I just think it gives the prettiest, nicest blend, and it doesn't go too dark in the front because you've already primed the hair with a lighter glaze on top of it, so it won't grab too dark. And it's only on for the last 3 to 5 minutes or 5 to 7 minutes, depending on how you feel like you want to glaze it for that day. But it's just one of my favorite tricks. I really hope that you liked this video, and if you did, please smash the like button. Next week, I'm going to be going over my favorite toning secrets, so you're not going to want to miss that one. And I'll see you next week, guys. All right? Bye!